goodness, Team No Sleep is back, ladies and gentlemen. What is going on? It's
Man, I know we both sporting the gray today,
Yes,
so
sir.
I know we got the rough look on, and ain't neither one of us hit that shaver just yet. So
Man, me
we
me
good,
and
man.
me and Gillette don't get along right now, so it's
Yeah,
all
man.
right. Yeah,
Just another blessing to be alive, man. And to be with the family, to be back here on social, on Team No Sleep and
yes,
get
sir.
down and let's speak our truth.
Speak our truth. Listen, I know we've been gone for a minute, folks, but we back. So don't worry about it. We didn't go way too far, but it's good to take a little sabbatical hiatus.
Yeah,
Get away from the noise a little bit sometime. But we here to bring some more heat. What's today? August 16th. And as always, typical, we like to start with the social impact story. We got a couple of stories that are resonating, and I don't know. We start with the negative. We'll end with some mediocre, and then we'll hopefully end with something positive. But let's go ahead and start with some things that we're seeing. All of them have a similar theme this week, from the perspective of the sport that they're involved in. I'll say that a lot of them are football related, so we'll talk about that. But this is a sad story, and you brought this to my attention. Um,
yeah.
Suspect accused of shooting a coach during a Dallas area youth game turns himself in. That suspect who did the shooting, and it's not an alleged because people were there, and we're not going to use that term, but it was Yaqub Talib, who you may not know him, but you probably definitely, if you're a football fan, you know his brother, Yaqub Talib, who played for the Broncos, right? NFL superstar and or
Mm-hmm.
former NFL superstar and Super Bowl champion. So here it is, the story of Yaqub Talib, 39 years old, going out here at a youth game, youth football game, youth sports game, youth activity, getting into it with the coach about whatever. Doesn't matter, regardless of whatever it is, feels the need. I'm not going to show the clip. You see it right here. I'll put the link to it on CNN right here. But feels the need to go out there, pull out a gun. One, why has he got a firearm at a youth sporting event? Gets into an altercation and unfortunately ends this man's life. This is there is no cause for this, and I want to ask you about this because again, you're so close, until to youth activities, especially youth sports, and just that to be in that environment where you're focused on coaching, you're focused on the athletic piece, and have to worry maybe about folks in the stands acting up, causing the fool, causing a ruckus, and end up again having a murder on scene. What I mean, your thoughts on this, man, and prayers and
I,
blessings to the families and all that are involved.
I mean, first of all, like prayer to the families that were involved, the victims of the family. That was just this is just unsad. But I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, man, this is one of the most heart wrenching stories I've seen in a while
Yeah.
because it's plagued on where the innocence is. Right, this is a nine-year old youth football game. 9 years old, 19-year-olds playing regular football. Um, for whatever reason, which I've been to a lot of youth football games and youth events. So yourself, so as many people out there, and there has never been an incident.
Hmm.
There's so much I even wanted to fight and argue about, much less kill someone over, murder somebody over. Let's be honest, just murder somebody over.
Yeah.
The fact that you know, this has become a frequent kind of story in our inner city neighborhoods, right? In our passion in passion of football, youth football, especially I hate to say it, unfortunately, in black neighborhoods
Hmm.
or urban neighborhoods, we should say that these kinds of things are happening. I don't know what kind of argument he possibly could get over where he wanted to kill a man over. There's no disagreement in the world over nine youth football that I need to get over that I need to get into an argument with another adult
Yeah.
to the point to where I want to kill them.
I mean,
I, you know, I
I
can't wrap
guess
my head around it. There's
that's
nothing you can say. There's
that's what
nothing
I'm
he can
saying,
do.
man. There's nothing that seems that we can say about this. Again, just why do you have the mentality? Shouts out to folks that are in the comments. I see Mr. Cox. We see Dr. Strong as well. How can you think about this, folks that are in the audience right now? You've got kids. You're out there. You got soccer, baseball, football, whatever the case may be. You're in the audience, or you're in the crowd. You're watching the game, and here to the side of you, some parent gets into it with the coach, and it gets beyond verbal altercation. It gets beyond throwing a water bottle at them. It gets beyond running out on and yelling at the referee. It gets to an actual point where you're actually shooting the person and killing the person. How do you even move on from this and still want to have your kids involved in athletics? Do you just become scared now and decide that, you know what, I don't
I
even
don't.
want to be involved in these things?
I think that's the wrong statement. I don't think it's to be involved in athletics. Athletics is not the problem. The athletic is not the problem. The event is the problem and where it's located. And I hate to say it, but the uneducated, ignorant people that are around there in those events. We've seen clips after clips, months
Mm,
after months, of where coaches are fighting in youth games.
yeah.
I hate to say, I'm gonna call a spade a spade. Black coaches.
Okay.
We Oakland Dynamites 2 weeks ago, shooting where a young
Right.
girl was
Right.
shot.
We talked about that, right?
Black neighborhood, and now we come to hear in Texas that this is on film. Another black neighborhood event with black coaches and black people there. And unfortunately, now we have a murder. And let's not even sugarcoat it. He murdered that coach in front of his 9-year-old son.
In front of his son, in front of his wife, and I
It's,
believe he also has a daughter as well. So his entire family,
yeah,
plus the mental anguish of all of the other kids that were there and anyone
they're,
else that was
they're,
around at the event. So
in our black and brown communities, man, we got to do better.
yeah,
Those are supposed to be sanctuaries of safety, right? These youth events are supposed to be sanctuaries of safety where we can go celebrate our kids playing, having a good time, having that 1-2 hour. They can escape all the crap. I'm
mm-hmm.
gonna be
Oh
we're
man, go ahead and
on
say it,
the
brother. We
internet.
here.
Yeah, yeah. All the shit that goes on in their lives all week, from wherever their home, whatever's going on in their home life, whatever's going on in school, whatever's going on in neighborhoods, all this shit that just involves in those situations just because their income or the socioeconomic status, they can go through all that stuff, and this 1-2 hour event kind of gives them that escape,
Yeah,
right? This is an escape mechanism for those kids. I don't care if a kid is good, bad, it doesn't matter. He's participating in the sport and he's having fun with his friends and out there playing. Why is it that freaking two adults have to ruin the whole fucking event because they have an argument or a disagreement, whatever it may be? It's that kind of event, man. I can't wrap my head around why that is a situation. That we fucking got to do better. We have to,
so
because at
how
this
do
point right now,
so
how do
I'm
I don't have.
asking these doubting Thomas questions, and I kind of know
Mhm.
answers, but I really want to get the dialogue. I mean, how do we
Yeah.
get better, right? Do we, like we do at the Oakland Dynamites game? Do we now have armed guards, armed police
That
at
that can't
each
be. That's
event?
not feasible. That's not possible because there's too
Okay,
many events going on. So
yeah, yeah,
that's not possible.
yeah,
It's got to be something with us as a people. We got to hold ourselves accountable, and we have to hold others accountable to uphold a certain standard when we're attending these kind of events. First of all, we got to address the root of the problem.
mm,
I was having a conversation with our brother Kevin Bracy today.
okay,
We were talking about it, and I was talking about this situation, and we were talking about in our events we had, there were some things that went on. Maybe a fight would probably be the worst thing that broke out when we were growing up. Even when my oldest son and them were growing up, maybe a fight might break out, or there was a disagreement. Even that was too extreme. That was
yeah,
way too extreme. That should even happen. But now we come to a point where this generation of parenting and kids or were born into that 90s. I hate to say it because I'm a product of it too, of that hip hop generation. No, they're a
wow,
product of that hip
yeah,
hop.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
gonna tell you right now where I'm going with this. They're part of that hip hop generation where the entertainment has had so much influence on the way they grew up. This thing called disrespect or not respecting.
mm-hmm.
If you don't respect me, I have to handle it in a certain manner, which is illustrated through all the music and entertainment that we're used to.
So it's a
I'm,
product of
I'm,
the so it's a
I'm
product of the environment and it's a product of what we tend to listen
visualize
to.
on TV. What
Okay,
we listen to, visualize, we're just kind of just there.
yeah,
Those things right there, I know it's not a direct correlation, but it's an indirect correlation to the behavior that patterns these way. Think about it. You disrespect me,
yeah,
I got to go after you. I got to talk about everything that goes after it. I'm even going to talk about murdering you, right? Killing you on the record or on a video or whatever in the movies or whatever. Over in disrespect, let's get it for them. We put a lot of pride on this thing that's called disrespectful. Disrespect is sometimes usually a difference of opinion, or if somebody that done something to you, they can most likely, in 9 times out of 10, can be corrected by an easy conversation.
that's true. Folks are talking.
It can be
I was
rectified
just
by an
having the
easy
same
conversation.
conversation with my son a couple of days ago, right? I told him,
I,
listen, because he's getting ready to go
that
off
you
and do his thing. I said, just know the battles that you need to get involved in, right? Always, wow, that is
that,
exactly the
that and you
conversation
know
I
what's
have with
funny?
him.
day before yesterday, me and my son were talking about a situation where he felt like he got disrespected.
Yeah.
He said, oh, coach, what, I won't say what the situation, but he said something happened. Somebody said something that was very disrespectful to him. I said, you need to go ahead and talk to the person.
Right.
Tell him, hey, man, I don't appreciate you disrespecting me that way. If you got something to say like that, don't say it in front of anybody. Come to me and talk to me about it. It was somewhat of an authoritative figure that said something that was out of pocket. So I told him, I said, you're a grown man at this point now. You need to go have a conversation with him. Don't walk around with a bitter face. Don't be mad. Go have that conversation with him and set him straight to make sure he doesn't do that again. Simple conversation. He had it with him. The end of it. No, there's no problem. Guy, he was actually just trying to make it be funny. It wasn't funny. Handled it. So 9 times out of 10, this so-called thing called disrespecting someone could be handled and be resolved with a simple conversation.
If we just communicated together. Yeah.
Just a communication. But we have this thing in our ingrained in our Black culture and our people. You can't disrespect me. If you disrespect me, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Period. Right after that. And 9 times out of 10, man, it doesn't even have to result to a problem. It could just be easily resolved. And I don't know where we can resolve that. I really don't know, because in our generation, we grew up with 70s parents where it wasn't that, right? Our parents, Black pride. They grew up in a whole different thing. They taught us how to articulate and talk that way.
We knew we had something to lose if we got to that point. Correct.
To that point.
Yeah.
80s parents, I think, kind of felt the same way a little bit. But this generation of hip hop and which are those parents that grew up in the 90s, which are these adults that are doing these things now and these events and stuff like that, grew up in that. They were the kids, and now they're the parents of the kids now, and they're fighting over these events and everything. That's a hell of an influence that's been over people. Maybe I'm thinking of it too deep. I don't think so. I believe that there's something that's there, man, that I think that we're missing as people. And Kevin just told me, he's like, that generation has no respect for life. They grew up in the era of violent music, violent movies, violent environments. The way they handle their situations is through violence. And it's true.
Yeah, it's tough when you hear. So Mr. Cox, we're talking about another gentleman, Kevin Bracey, who is actually embedded with the youth on a daily basis, right? He's a motivational entertainer, as he coins himself. He goes out and talks to all of the youth at their rallies and things like that. And for him to say something like that, almost bleakly about this generation, right, out there, have nothing to lose, feel that if they can't just have a conversation without it being a one-time conversation, right? If you're going to disrespect me, we're going to end up going to not just blows and things like that. But I do like also what Mr. Cox is saying here. Communication is so key, and many times it can solve so many problems. Many times others didn't mean to disrespect, but didn't think about how their actions were received on the other end.
I agree. I agree with that wholly. But I mean, the question, I guess the bigger question is, how do we change that, and how do we make people feel comfortable in having a communication? I'm quite sure, and I'm speaking out of that same situation as that youth pop Warner thing. If that coach, if that Talib's brother would have just went up to him and said, "Hey, can I speak to you for a second privately and talk to you about what's going on?" Melee wouldn't have happened.
Yeah,
melee wouldn't have happened.
Well, you would.
I'm
not trying to.
Wait. He's a 43-year-old man, James.
You
can't tell me at some point you ain't got no home training to go just say, man to man, let me go have a conversation with this person. I don't care if there's no way you can feel that threatened at a 9-year-old youth game.
That's where I was going, right? I mean, I wanted to say I would expect something like that to happen at a club, but I didn't want to say I would expect something like that to happen at a club, but not at a youth sports event. And there just has to be some type of chill in you to know that, man, this isn't the right spot to get it to that extreme. Let me at least talk it out. Let's find another way to deal with this. Let's go meet on the other side of the driveway or something and chat instead.
Or you know what? The easier thing, if you that pissed off, walk away. Go home. Go home.
That's a grown man move. So I think so. So I'm gonna say what Talib's brother did is cowardly. So that's not even.
Yes.
So a grown man would have walked away.
What it is. Yeah. That was a cowardly act that he did, and I know he said I'm turning myself in because I'm going to tell my story. There ain't no story you can tell me that makes you come to the actions. There's no story you can tell me that you come to action when you had to pull a gun at a 9-year-old game and shoot somebody. Yeah. There's nothing you can convince me in the difference, but you just committed cold-blooded murder. Yeah. Not one thing.
when
And
this,
you know, and I feel for the Talib family
yeah,
because I know the brothers are, you know, ex Super Bowl, he's Super Bowl champ. I'm
yeah.
sure he's close to near dear to the situation or whatever. But there ain't
Well,
no
he was at
excuse,
the
man.
game too. So Talik was at the game. So, and I
So
show this picture because this is the man who's no longer coming home to his daughter and to his wife and to his son
exactly.
for no unknown reason. So it just makes no much sense. It's interesting what Doug is saying here. It's pride. It's okay. Like we can get into that too. No, what?
Okay,
Why does
let's
pride
talk.
get in the way of you doing a cowardly act like this and having it in this man's life at a 9-year-old peewee football game?
Yeah.
That's
So I guess we could account to a lot of brothers that's in jail. The pride didn't cost a lot of brothers their lives, and I would agree with that. It
mm,
has. I think pride is something that's very overrated,
mm,
in my opinion. I mean, you should have pride in your race, you should have pride in yourself, but not to the point where it's detrimental to anybody else or anything. You know, there's a
mm.
difference. And we run. I think we as people run behind those words. We run behind disrespect. You disrespect me. We run behind. I got a pride. You get too much pride. No, you're a coward. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
you're not man enough or adult enough to be able to articulate yourself in an adult conversation to resolve a situation. That's you're acting more like a child than a child is at the age of 43 years old. There's
Yeah.
nothing, you could talk about. You don't understand. You don't understand. You didn't call me bougie. Sell out what I want. I know I'm an adult. I know I'm man enough. I can have a conversation with somebody to avoid death.
Yeah, look, we can be
How
real,
hard is that?
right? You and I know we've been in the street. We've been in situations back in the day where it has come to some blows and it's come to whatever. But there's a switch that has to flip in your head to where I can either go down this fork in the road or I can go down that fork in the road, and I can either be
But
locked up, I can be dead,
but
or I can be
we're talking about when we were 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Young
yeah,
kids,
yeah,
adolescents still trying to figure it out.
yeah, yeah,
We're not talking about 40, 41, 42, 43.
yeah,
Those same situations we were in when we were 19 years old, we would
yeah.
handle completely different
True.
than at the age of 40.
Yeah,
So he can't give me any excuse why he would act that way. Why would you, James? I've been to 9 youth football games 10 times over. Both my boys played it. My nephew
yeah,
played it. I was at all their games.
yeah,
At no point, at no reason, for no matter, would I ever think about even pulling out a gun and killing anybody.
yeah.
It could be a bad call. Oh, bad call. Someone
Yeah,
speared
like
my
I said,
son.
you just throw your water bottle or something out there, or go around and stomp. You
I wouldn't
show
even do that. I would just be like, I would expect the ref to handle it on the field if I had a problem with a coach. Coach, can I talk to you after it and we can talk about what's going on? Why you ain't playing my son? Whatever the case may be
yeah,
that I have a disagreement with, but I can talk to the coach. And
yeah,
if the coach is being that belligerent where he didn't want to, I'm man enough to walk away. I mean, when you don't want to hear me, go ahead, do your thing, act a fool and look stupid. I'll take my kid. He won't play here anymore. That's simple. It's pretty much that easy. I have that right to do that. I
but
don't have the right to come there and bring a gun
yeah,
and shoot you over a disagreement. I don't. There's nothing you can tell me. If I'm on the jury, there's nothing you can tell me to sway my matter. And like I said, I feel sorry for the Talib family because they're gonna have to deal with this whole
yeah.
thing, this overshadowing their other
Th-
son's
This
accomplishments,
is this.
right?
Well, this isn't a good look for nobody. But you're right. This is kind of that attention that you don't need, especially when it gets to this point. I like one thing right here that Doug is saying, and kind of in tune with what you and I are saying, right? As we get a little more seasoned, look, we just too old. Right, we walk away and we live another day. We know
True.
again where and when not to roll up the sleeves, or whatever the case may be. It is not, and it hasn't come out what the situation was, right, that caused this altercation to happen.
Well,
And
the only situation that could have came that maybe I don't even think I would do it even then. If someone harmed my family, if he harmed my
yeah,
family, that's something.
yeah,
That may be a different ball game. But the fact of the matter, you came to a 9-year-old. So if you came there to do something with a gun, that's premeditated already.
yeah,
That's
that's
a
crazy.
premeditation.
You come
That
to a
means you
nine
came
year
to
old
do
game
something
and
anyway.
you got a weapon on you, man.
Yeah,
That's not right.
that's
Come on.
premeditated already.
Yeah,
So whatever whatever he turned himself in, they want to tell the police, it doesn't resonate. I could care less what he's done at that point. Because if you had to come to the game to do that, how come you couldn't wait till after the game? How come you couldn't wait till when he drove off in his car and followed him and did whatever you had to do if it's that detrimental instead of doing it in that situation? So I'm not really understanding what excuse he's going to say that causes that. But the fact of the matter, there's too many incidents happening at these youth events that are supposed to be sanctuary for kids in our black neighborhoods, which is going to cause, it's going to be a ripple effect. But now we're going to quit all. There's going to be no youth sports because they can't protect these youths from violent acts happening.
Well,
Is
that's
is
what's
that
going
going
to
to be a fair?
happen, right? So that's the bigger story. That's the other part of this social impact story, folks, that we're getting to. Yeah, this is a tragedy of what happened, but now this is again that negative eye on youth sports, on young black teams and leagues and things like that, because so much is happening. It is when you look at the front page of the news, it's always the Oaklands. Now it's the Lancaster. Dude, it's 25 miles from Dallas. I'm gonna be in Dallas at the end of this week, right? This is
Yeah,
where I'm gonna be next week, right, for an event. So it's in these neighborhoods. So legislators, city councils, or whatever, going to say, you know what, we can't have
we had enough.
sports. We can't have
Yeah,
events around y'all because y'all don't seem to know how to act. And that's just what's going to happen in these capitals and these city councils in these meetings, because people are going to get intimidated and think that I can't come and integrate and play with these types of folks because
yep,
so much is going to end up jumping off.
yep.
And then what are the innocent bystanders going to do? What are the
I,
innocent youth
I'm.
going to go?
Why should anyone fear going in any neighborhood to a youth event?
Yeah.
Let's keep it honest. Why should anyone be fearful going into any neighborhood in this country
Yeah.
at a youth event? Like, that's there for kids to participate and play. That is supposed to be a fucking sanctuary
Especially when it
for
comes to
kids.
kids. Especially when it comes to that age, right? Again, so we got mental trauma that we have to deal with now for these youngsters as well, who have saw this horrendous act happen, and that's just going
Yes,
to domino into everyone that was around there.
and the fact that more people ain't pissed off about it, it makes
Mm-hmm.
me even more angry. That makes me even more angry because, I mean, man, we're dealing with a area and in a sport they already condemn as violent. We're dealing in areas that they already condemn as violent. You're dealing with people that are already they say is violent. And then their question is, look what I told you so. Forget all the 99% that are doing good. They look at the 1% that's doing bad that makes change, which fucking irates me. It irates me because the case of the bad apple, the one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. These are these cases. The Oakland situation is these cases. Situations like this in Lancaster, these cases. The cases that we see on the internet when the coaches are fighting, having a full out brawl in front of these kids over stupid shit, man.
Yep.
Over 9-year-old games,
Yeah.
like it's 9-year-old games, man. I'm baffled, man. 9-year-old games, like there's no argument we should even be having. Okay, you beat me. Okay, good. Let's go home. I'm gonna teach my kids to play
Let's move.
better the
Let's
next time
move
we
on
face.
and let's get better, right? Let's lace them up
Let's move
again
on.
next week.
Yeah, let's it
So
should be teachable moments, not moments where we got to figure out how we're gonna resolve youth coaches from acting belligerent and fighting on the field to now till we have a murder on the field at a fucking Pop Warner game. This it's disturbing, man. It's disturbing, and the other networks they want to brush over it and not say too much about it. The professional networks just say, "Oh, his brother," and they move it on. It's maybe a
yeah,
10-second bite. It's bigger than that situation because me and you both know, James, as we're dealing with community, there are community leaders that will fight for it, and there's going to be community leaders that go against
yeah, yeah.
it. And those ones that are going to go against it got more ammunition in their belt than the ones that don't,
Unfortunately, they
because
do. Yeah,
we're playing out in a situation. It's just like the situation with the kid in the soccer in LA. And we didn't cover that story. It was a couple of weeks ago. I'll make it real quick. Young man at a soccer game playing tournament, fight broke out, he gets killed. Young man was going to be an engineer. He was going to college. He was playing in a little soccer league in the middle of South Central LA.
yeah,
Fight broke out. He got stomped to death and got killed. Again, our black and brown, a sanctuary. Now he was a little bit older. He was a teen. I think he was 19 years old. But the fact of the matter, man, these sanctioned events where people are just participating in sports is now becoming a haven for fucking violence, and it's sad. There's nothing to be violent about in this situation. If you disagree with a call, move on.
move
You
on.
disagree with the play, don't play. It's that simple. It doesn't work. It's not worth a life at all. And
It's
that's just it's disturbing, man. It's really disturbing to me.
it's a bigger conversation, and you already hinted on it too, right? I mean, again, unfortunately, the the Foxes, the NBCs, the CBSs are going to hit it one time and move on because it's not the shiny, flashy thing out there. But we are in these communities and we see this. And I think we also see it more because we are so close to the youth, right? We've got youngsters that are involved in these kinds of things. And I like what Chief said, right? It's bigger than black and white. It really is us all trying to figure out a way. We got to do something better, right? We can't. I'm tired of having these kinds of stories. I would.
Yeah,
I told you this before we got
yeah.
going. I would much rather talk about some of the stories we're going to talk about at the end of this than talk about this and the next one, because
Hmm.
these types of situations should not be happening in whatever year it is, 2022, 2023,
Yeah.
in this society, with the access to information, with the access to assistance, with the access to help. We should not be having a 40-some-year-old man at a 9-year-old football game killing the coach for whatever reason. It's gonna come out. We don't know. We can assume and we can speculate, but this we just as
I,
as as
I,
as a
I,
species have to do better.
yeah, there's no, to me, there's no excuse. And I hear him saying it's bigger than the black and white thing, and I get you. But unfortunately, man, this is a tab we need to tab into a racial issue because these are not happening in white neighborhoods or white communities. It's happening in black and brown communities. These deaths and these situations. So white communities are excluded to this because it's not happening there. It's happening in our communities. It's happening in our predominantly black and Latino communities and probably and some Asian descents and all that communities where the socioeconomic is a little bit is in the less part, and these things are happening. And I don't care where you're at in this area, where you at, where you live. We all know kids and churches are sanctuaries.
Yeah,
Those are things that those are places you do not.
you just
Those
don't
are where
mess
the
with.
violent
You just
events
don't mess with.
where you can be safe for those few hours. That's the safety net. Especially when it comes to kids, they've always been off limits. Always to the violent situations. If there's a problem I handle it after. If there's a situation where it has to come to that, where it has to come to violence like that, we're not going to do it there at the church. We're not going to do it at the playgrounds with the school. We're going to do it somewhere else. Those have always been those kind of situations there, and now seems to be disregarded. And like I said, now we're dealing with just regular adults doing this to regular adults. The soccer killing in L.A. The drive-by shooting in Oakland. I don't know if that little girl passed away, but she definitely was shot. I know that for sure. And now we got a coach killing. We got a fan coming down and killing the coach.
Yeah,
And this is what we're only in August, the beginning of football season. This is the
yeah,
beginning of
yeah.
football season.
Right. Well, I mean, look at it, and we'll move on to the next story because again, it's an unfortunate, almost similar type of thing, but we're just now getting to be back out with other people as well. Why is why is it the fact that we were locked down for a long period of time, and now that we're back out with our neighbors and with our communities, we have pent up frustrations. We feel we got to take an argument
Judge, I would think that for
to
a
that
little bit. And
level.
I know mental health is a real deal. I do.
Yeah.
Well, fuck hiding behind that now. That's all. That's
Mm.
I'm past that.
Hmm.
I'm past that, especially in this situation. Fuck all that
No,
mental health.
when it comes to the kids, I mean
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah, yeah. Fuck all that mental health.
yeah,
You got enough. If you got enough aptitude to load a gun and take it with you, got enough fucking
yeah.
aptitude to not do it at that school. Take it somewhere else. If you can think about how going in the room and loading the gun and putting in your car and driving somewhere to get there, you got enough sense to do like I can't do it here. Let me do it somewhere else. So I'm not
Ooh.
gonna buy the mental health shit no more. I'm not
Ooh.
doing it when it comes to acts of violence.
Yeah.
These are individual people that just choose to act out whatever they do with violence and not come to a rationale and not be like adults. I'm sure everybody's seen that, or they haven't. There's so many clips. If you go look at youth football game fights with coaches,
Yeah.
there's 50 of them, and
Yeah.
I hate to say it, all black coaches fight. It's all this shit is happening in black coaches, a Latino neighborhood, all over some stupid shit over some youth football games. It's dumb. And the fact that now you're gonna kill somebody at a youth event is beyond me. So I'm not gonna buy the mental health thing. I'm not buying we was
We
locked up
just
for
we
3 weeks.
just
Now
we just need to be better. We just need to
yeah,
we just need
you
to
need to be
do
better.
better.
That's the bottom line.
Right? I
We
mean,
need to
at the
be
end of
better.
the day, we just need to be better.
Yeah.
People forget how to be human. That's a powerful statement there, Doug. And okay, so let's go on. Let's keep that same energy. Unfortunately, and it's negative energy because again, we were talking
Now,
about.
I'm sorry for my curse rant, everybody. I'm sorry
No,
for
you know what
cursing. But,
it's
but,
it's
but
passion, right? It's the heat, and again, I think we're more passionate about it, not just because we're good people. You're a good person, but also because you're vested in the youth, right? We really are trying individually to see everyone succeed, and especially the youth, man. And when our kids have opportunities to excel and be great, that's where we stand back and we smile and we shine. But when we see something like this happening around such positivity, dude, we just curl up and ball ourselves on the ground. Dude, this is almost like that story, that Dodgers pitcher story, right? Where I locked out and I said, I can't do this anymore because
did.
it's so detrimental to life and society. So, all right, let's get into this next story. Thank y'all for sticking with us. This is not a good one either. Southern California youth coach. I'm not sure if you know the name Chris Flores. Go ahead and Google him if you want to. That name is actually prominent in the football in the sports world
Mm-hmm.
down in Southern California. He has been charged with sexual assault of a minor, 14-year-old.
Minors now. I think it's six charges
Yeah.
against the
So yeah,
minors.
the
Yeah.
initial one was a 14-year-old. There were some 15-year-olds. There were issues in the past that he was also charged with sodomy of a 21-year-old. But again, so this coach who builds camps, works with collegiate athletes, works with NFL athletes, skills training and things like that, he is now being charged with sending inappropriate messages, having inappropriate contact with someone who is a third his age, 37 years old. This young lady is 14 years old. He invited her to a movie. He invited her to do some other things. She initially said no. Look. I don't have to make this stuff up. You gotta. I can read it right here. The allegation surfaced on social media, stemming from an audio recording of the two parties, where the male prods a girl to go see a movie with him. When she declines his request to FaceTime, the man says, "We talked about this. You got to stop with the nose." So he's being uh, overbearing. He's asserting his dominance. 37-year-old man over a 14-year-old girl, and again, there were some items and some things that have happened again with this young 14-year-old girl. She's obviously not being identified, but this is someone, again, a trusted figure within society with our youth, overstepping the bounds. He's locked up right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hopefully this man doesn't get out for a very, very long time, but other children are coming out. Like I says here, a second girl, 15, made similar allegations to the Riverside Sheriff's Department. And we'll just see how this works out. But again, this is so now again, how do you think about this? Right now, you're the
Yeah.
parent who has put children around this man. Probably did a couple of good things, right? Probably opened a few doors, probably helped with some things, but then you bring your daughter over to have conversation with him because he knows sports and whatever the case may be, and you end up getting stories like this. Now,
That this shows you right now in today's site, can't trust nobody.
can't trust nobody.
Can't trust not
I was
one
I was
person
I was
because
gonna say this something very similar. You
this,
just
this,
can't
this
trust nobody.
this dude, I don't know him personally. I think I might have seen him around. His face looks familiar, but I'm not quite sure if I saw him in a camp
Yeah,
or something like that. Being down in Southern California, but this dude, he preyed on young ladies. Why? Because he was training them, or he had some involvement with training them. I watched the interview on news with one of the fathers. One of the fathers wanted to take matters in his own hands. He didn't.
yeah,
He didn't take her out, but he was making advances at her. The father or uncle got really, really pissed off and was going, go after this guy, but the family talked him out of it. And now with this situation, he's like, this dude's a sick individual. He's been doing it for a while. This is just he's finally got caught.
yeah,
Um, so I guess swirlings or word or whispers were going around about his behavior. Um, and now it's finally, rightfully so, he's finally got caught and he should be behind bars. It's just unfortunate, man, that he's preying on these young kids' dreams, right? These kids want to become the best athlete. He's helped training them, helping them go to camps, helping them do all these things. And he's talking about how he can get them there and do these different things. And then he takes advantage of these young ladies. He's foul. He's a
yeah,
foul individual. And, I'm sure the court is going to deal with him the prominent way. And it's just unfortunate. You just can't trust nobody. I would always say, like, even when my son's trained with a trainer, you know, I watch. I go there and watch.
mm,
especially like the first, 5, 6, 7 times I'm there,
Right.
and then when I get to a point, okay, maybe he can go by himself. I go by himself, and then I ask right afterward, how did it go? What was going on? What did coach say? This and this and that. And if I see there's any activity, or too much talking beyond outside of training, I want to know what it is.
Yeah.
If he's texting you or calling you or she's texting you or calling you, I want to know what it is and what's really going on. Because again, you can't trust nobody. You
Right.
can't. You don't know what their ulterior motives are. So with that being said, this is a prime example of that, and it's really, really sad. It's just messed up, man.
Yeah. Let
It's a
me ask.
messed up story.
Yeah. Let me ask this because I think Doug asked or mentioned something pretty interesting. Someone needs to be fired if they knew about the previous charge and still hired him. And I got it on the screen right now. Again, back in 2010, July of 2010, the fact that he was charged with 3 counts of unlawfully kidnapping and carrying away a woman to allegedly commit rape, sodomy, sodomy by anesthesia or controlled substance. Come on, man. And rape by use of drugs. This is on his record. Yet and still, the man gets hired to, or gets allowed to have this camp and gets allowed to be this close and this intimate with athletes.
Hmm.
Somebody could have. Can't somebody stop even this camp from opening, or this man from being in such a prominent position to where he's
It, it,
attached to the
it,
youth? Shouldn't there be like a flag or a tag or something on when you look up his name? I don't know, right? I guess
I
I'm
believe,
just wondering how
I
this works.
believe, I believe it should have been. I mean, I didn't realize he had a charge back in 2010.
Yeah,
Because I didn't read this story. I read a different
yeah.
one. I didn't, if he had charges, he shouldn't have been hired, anywhere. He shouldn't have been able to do those things and those things. And that again, as a parent, you need to investigate, right? I know it shouldn't be the
No,
parents'
keep
fault. You
that.
should
Oh,
be able
that's
to
no, it's
trust
a good
somebody.
point. Keep that onus on the
But
keep.
you
Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
you as a parent, you need to investigate. You need to Google who the trainer is and ask questions about, to other people, how is it, what's going on? Do you know anything about this person? This right here is, to me, I pray for the victims. I hope they get justice and everything. But to me, to all these other parents, this is a wake up call.
Wow.
Like you need to
Wow.
really check, investigate who you're leaving your kids with,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they're young kids and if they're young ladies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially I'm not negating males that are teen males, but it doesn't happen as often. I should say, but definitely if you are young kids and females, I think you need to investigate who they're training with and see what's going on and understand what's going on, because situations like this can happen right up under your nose and you don't know about it.
Darn shame. Darn shame. Man, hold on. I see you got a wristband you on. You all right? You ain't had
Oh
to.
yeah, I'm cool, man. Just
Okay.
little sprain, little
Okay.
sprain. Don't worry about it. I'm
All
I'm
right.
good.
You can't throw the
Yeah,
football like you used to. I just want to make sure that
no,
you are okay. You
no.
know.
Don't trip it. I can thug it out on this, and don't
Oh,
worry about
see,
that. Just
there he go. Oh my gosh. All right. We
yeah,
gonna somewhat lighten it up. But listen, we got to hit you hard right at the beginning, folks. Right? We got to talk about the stuff that matters and the stuff that resonates, makes you think before anybody logs off. So so
yeah.
let's do better. Let's talk to people. Let's find a way to continue to do better. So we have less and less of these types of stories hitting the news wave. But um, I'm gonna say this is a better story, but it's still an unfortunate story. Um,
Mhm.
Retirees from the NFL. We continue to talk about CTE. You can right, and that's you don't find that until you're dead. But
Yep.
there was testing that was done a few years ago through the NFL about dementia and about NFL retirees, and specifically about the black players and the way that black players were scored. Y'all know it. And if you're a sports fan,
Mhm.
if you're an NFL fan, you knew the huge controversy about that. They were scored on a different scale than their white counterparts because the score system was based on the fact that the test felt that black players' mental capacity was lower than that of their white counterparts. Don't even sound right coming out. That's why I had to pause a little bit as I was saying that. But that was actually the test criteria that black and white players were scored differently because it was assumed that white players had a higher brain capacity for comprehension for whatever. that's been revisited, that's been rebuked, that's been disavowed, disqualified, all those adjectives right there. A lot of players now, many players are, I believe it says, of the 646 black men who tested were rescored. Nearly half now qualify for dementia awards. 61 are classified as having early to moderate dementia, while averaging awards topping $600,000, while nearly 250 more have had milder dementia and will get up to $35,000 in enhanced medical testing and treatment. So it's a good and it's a bad.
It's better, but it's not. It doesn't solve the issue.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
The scoring piece, I still can't get over that, and I remember just when it happened, right? Just the fact that they were talking about doing the scoring, and then the black folks, we gonna score them on a curve because they're not smart enough. I mean, what? And I just don't understand why that didn't bubble up so much and have more of a ruckus about that. But now folks are getting their day, and this was back in 2020 when the lawsuit first came out about this. But now, 2.5 years later, these players and their families are getting some repercussions, and they're getting their money. They're getting their additional finance for medical assistance. But again, there still needs to be changes in the policy, and I'll let you talk about it, but there still needs to probably be changes in the games. I think they're trying to figure something out with the new padded helmets and all that. But talk to me a little bit about your thoughts, at least about this story.
First, we got to shout out 60 Minutes and ABC News who did the investigation. They're the one that kind of broke the story. It wasn't ESPN, wasn't none of them.
You're right.
It was more so. Shout out to them for breaking the story, and then we brought it to our attention to kind of talk about it.
Say
more.
That one more time, because it was us that brought it to everyone's attention. Before everybody else.
As soon as ABC News did something, and I saw it on the news, I shot you a text that night, like, man, we got to talk about this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But this right here, to me, still is not enough. I mean, the NFL. Let's be honest with you, they're just covering their tracks, right?
Yeah.
They're going back to retest. And they say, okay, half will get it, but what about the other half? You can't tell me that those other half or those other people can't be in a situation with their scoring, which we don't even know what that is, however they do it or whatever is going on. You know what? This is a league that everyone says they love, but they are so scandalous behind the scenes in things that they do in their business practices.
So let me ask you right this before you continue to go on. And shouts out, I see the boss in the building. Okay, I see you in here. I appreciate you, Mama, for joining the show. This may have been around the time where a lot of folks were saying we were not going to follow the NFL anymore. Right? I mean, I know it was right around the Kaepernick kneeling, and then this story came out. A lot of folks were saying, you know what, I'm done with football. I'm done with the NFL. I'm not even going to watch this anymore. It's no longer going to be my sport pastime. We're back. Why are we back when they continue to do? We can go down that path if you want to, but again,
and I can tell you why. And I'll tell you exactly why, because it's one of the greatest sports entertainment things to watch. Football kind of tells every story. It has the underdog, it has the juggernaut, it has violence, it has the backstories, it has everything you want to see in a 2.5-hour event, right? The thrill of victory and all that comes in that whole 2-hour event.
It's Goliath against Goliath. There is no
yes,
right?
Yes. It's the best form of a boxing match you can have without physically boxing. You got grown men hitting each other at a fast pace, knocking each other down, going after a little ball, right?
Yeah.
And I love every minute of it. I don't watch NFL as much anymore. I tend to watch college football personally myself. I'm not a big I'll watch NFL. I won't lie. Can't say I can cut it all the way off if it's on. But I tend to favor college football. But again, NFL back practices, the business practices on the back end.
Yeah.
As much as you see on the front end, the good stuff they do a lot of scandalous crap on the back end. And one is the way they label African American players that apply for these benefits or that went for these benefits because they experienced dementia and head injuries and all that stuff. And like you said, at the beginning, they excluded them. Like, they were basically telling black people aren't smart enough to have that kind of attitude. So their scores are automatically going to be low, so we're not going to pay.
There it is, right there. Folks. We'll put the link to the story in the description so you can read it for yourself. You don't have to believe us. Just do your own research. This is what it's all about right here.
They basically say we're dumb. We're dumb enough. We don't have enough attitude to be able to do that. So that's why their scores are low. Not saying that they have physical ailments or anything like that. They just said they were too dumb to be able to score higher on whatever test they were administrating. So now we come 2.5 years later. They said they retested it or relooked at evaluated those scores. oh, half of them do have dementia, and out of that,
Mm-hmm.
only half of that half qualifies for the big settlement. The
Right.
other half just can qualify for some extensive research, and that other half we're gonna exclude for right now.
We gonna
They're
make a
not showing.
donation to your
We're
favorite
not gonna show
charity.
them with that. And I wish
Yeah.
I knew had the numbers, but I bet you. I know there was a large percentage of the white athletes that applied for it. They got the settlement. I don't think the numbers were even the same or that drastic, where only 50% got it.
Those weren't
There was a
reported.
larger
Yeah.
number of
Yeah.
white counterparts got it. So again, poor in the NBA, NFL practices in the back end, and the NFL is just great at covering those things up. They don't want people to know those stories. This story hasn't been on ESPN one time, but it is on their show. So to say, hey, we did write a story about it, but you got to go to the website and read about it. It's
Yeah.
not something they're
So,
going to
so,
expose.
so think about
Let's
this.
say,
I'm gonna cut you off right there. And yeah, Doug, this is a recent test, and I got it on the screen right here. The fact that a lot of the players, advocates fear that many former players don't even know that they can be rescored or retested. Right. So
mm-hmm.
again, it's not being just blown up out there. Publicists and agents and managers aren't telling players that you need to go out there and get this money. I think about
Yeah.
this really hit me when I started thinking about like soldiers and military veterans. When I think about like my dad or so, just having
Yeah.
access to PTSD and having access to resources for those that fought to protect our country, not knowing all the resources that are available to them.
You,
Why? Because nobody's talking to them about it.
and that reminds me of when,
Yeah.
like, when you have a large homeless environment, which are full of vets that have mental illness and all that.
Yeah.
They don't know they have access to
Oh no.
the veterans hospital.
Yeah.
They don't
Why?
know. They
Why?
don't know what
Why?
access or what.
Because again, it's not. I don't know. It's not sexy. It's not. They don't want to give out that money. They don't want to give out the
That,
resources, but they want to say, okay, we
yeah,
make it available to you. But how do you get it? How do you get to it? How do you get around to
yeah.
getting those resources? Well,
And let's be honest. There's a lot of red tape, right,
a
involved
lot
in
of
it.
red
Usually,
tape.
there's typically
Lot,
a lot of red tape for you to get through it. So
man.
the NFL as a business practice, like I said, is on the back end is really shady. So again, like you said, they're not announcing it to those that can be retested, or announcing to recent retirees that have these issues.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really putting it out there. You as a person have to go forward, or someone around in your family has to go forward to put you in that situation and help you find all that information to be able to apply and then get tested and see if this is something you qualify for. Um, it's just, man, it's crazy, man.
It's crazy.
It's crazy for a business like that makes billions of dollars a year off of these, basically the diminish of a person's body, because that's the sport that we
Yeah.
played. I didn't
Yeah.
play NFL, but that I played.
Yeah.
The diminishing of your body. That the fact that on the back end now, even though now you're making billions of dollars, maybe I can understand back in the day where it wasn't no TV deals and you were kind of, you were making some money, but it wasn't the money you're making now. Where you're making billions and billions of dollars on the back end, you refuse to help those that help you build that business into billions and billions of dollars. You refuse to help them. I mean, and I hate to say it, it's just like the military.
Yeah.
You don't want to help those that help you fight those wars that were invented. You don't want to give them that special treatment. You don't want to make sure they're in veteran housing. You don't want to make sure they find homes for those that are homeless. You don't want to make sure they don't have those mental. Not saying you don't want to help them, but you don't make it an easy access for them to be able to get that help.
Yeah.
That
Why is it?
I
Why
should
is
say
it
they don't
so
want
hard
it.
to do good?
Yeah,
Why is it
that's
so
what I'm saying.
hard?
I should say they don't want to help. They don't want it, but they're not making it easy for those to get the help and treatment they need in order to get them to feel better. They just kind of live it. And once you do figure it out, it's so much red tape and frustration that goes along with that before you can actually get your hands on the pot of gold, right? Or get a chance to get to the pot of gold. So, I mean, it's like I said, I won't turn off the game because I love the sport so much, but the business of the NFL, man, is it's got some cleanup to do. It really does.
They do. Some of it is okay in terms of what the business of the NFL is doing. I think they're making some strides in a positive direction. Elsewise, and we're going to talk about that real briefly right now, and especially this team. Listen, the Vegas Raiders, they trying to do some things. Las Vegas has hired Sandra Douglas Morgan as the first Black female president in NFL history. That's big news right there.
Big.
Right? That come on. This is male dominated sport. This is football. And now you got a woman. No, wait a minute. You got a black woman who is the president of not just a small team, but the team that's based out of Las Vegas. Everyone flies to Vegas. Everyone knows Vegas. Everyone knows the Raiders. You don't have to just be from Los Angeles or Oakland or from the old school locations, right? This is a big deal to have someone like this young lady being responsible, being the forget the Davis family, right? Forget them. We know them. They're the ones cutting all the checks. But when you got someone like Sandra Morgan as the president of this football organization,
Mm-hmm.
this is bigger than Jeter, right down in Florida.
Yeah,
This is bigger than Jordan down in North Carolina and Washington, because we all know Jordan. But this is something that really needs to be celebrated, I think. And again, it hasn't been. I don't know why, but we want to definitely bring light to this particular story.
yeah. I would love to give flowers to her accomplishment. Obviously, she's paved the way for herself to become the president of the Raiders, which is, I believe, their team worth is second to Dallas, right? As far as sports franchises in the NFL. So Raiders make a lot of money. She's responsible for the operations of day-to-day activity with the Raiders, whether it be, you know, anything that goes along with the business of the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. I think it's huge. You know, Mark Davis and them are the owners. I'm glad he's taking a step back and let somebody run the operations of the organization. And the fact of the matter that it's a black woman, and she's the first black woman, she's definitely paving the way for other women to get in high-ranking positions within the NFL.
Yeah.
Because remember, there's 32 owners, and there's not one woman, and there's not one man of color as an ownership. That really, this really
We still
taking
got some
over.
work. There's still
Taking
some
over.
work to do. There's
Yeah,
definitely
there's a lot
still
of
some
work
work
to
to
do.
do. Yeah.
I mean, we can't even get in the door to become owners. Let's be honest with you. We can't get in the door to become
We
owners.
tried.
But,
We
yeah.
couple of folks. Couple. All right, you want to go down that road? A couple of folks
No, no,
tried,
no,
but I
no. I
think
mean, I
well,
want to
no,
get some.
I actually I do. I want to go down, but a couple of folks tried, but it was the wrong folks.
Yeah.
I would prefer it not to be an entertainer. I would prefer it not to be a rapper. I would prefer it to be just not someone from that industry to be the first
Mm-hmm.
of us to own an NFL team. I don't know. I don't know why. Just there's a little bit of a stigma in my mind. Look, I love Hove. I love Jay-Z. Right. I would if he was to own the team, all good and all gravy on that. But man, I would just love to see someone who you and I, we come from business, right? We come from technology. I would love to see someone who literally came from that era, came from that field, who more gives everyone else the hope that they can actually eventually get to that point to where they can crack some of those doors, as opposed to
Yeah.
someone who, now is the billionaire selling out stadiums, right? He's an entertainer. I can't see the Kevin Harts and the Jay-Z's owning the team and me feeling the same way. I'd be proud for him. I'd be happy for him, but I don't know. That's just
I,
my personal bias,
I,
but
I
that
mean,
is what it is.
we discussed this before.
Yeah.
I would hope the entertainers and all them, if they want to become, big time owners, they start owning like an XFL team,
Mm-hmm.
right? To learn how the
Yeah.
business of sports entertainment happens, or
Yeah.
own a USFL team, because sports entertainment business is completely different from the business I believe that they're in, especially when they're the number one performer out there. They're not the
No,
person
what
behind
Cube is
pushing on the
doing,
button.
I'm down with what
Cuba's
Cube
doing
is doing. Yeah, he's doing it.
Cuba's doing with the big
Yeah.
three,
Yeah.
and the big three, that's a hard sell, and Ice Cube does a great job of doing that and owning that kind of business.
Yeah.
And I think he's kind of the first one to land in that lane. But I mean, we already know the big three compared to the NFL is
A
like
little
comparing,
different. Yeah.
an ant to a dinosaur.
Yeah, it's
You know,
grown folks' money out
it's
there, boy. God,
it's a different ball game. I would hope that, like I said, people get behind like the situation like The Rock is doing. Rock is owns and he's a part owner of the XFL, a majority owner of the XFL. I would hope other entertainers would join into that part and learn that business of sports entertainment, and then be able to take that and hopefully get together, or that morphs into you becoming an NFL owner. Because basically XFL or USFL are kind of like the minor. I know the professional leagues, and I love them both, but they're kind of the minor leagues to the big
yeah.
boys of the NFL.
Yeah.
So I think just like you got to become a player, and you can kind of, go levels, USFL, XFL to the NFL, kind of gradually kind of grow your way into that. I believe you can grow your way into ownership. You can grow your way if you're doing a great job of ownership. You're marketing well. Your team is selling out the stadium. Your memorabilia is selling. You're making the sound business decisions. What's going on with the company as far as how you're doing everything. that sets the plate for you to say, you know what, we're ready to go to the big boys in the NFL. And I think that's a haven more for the entertainers, and it doesn't cost them all their money.
Yeah.
It costs them a little bit less of their money to be able to do those things and master it in a small market to take it to the big market. That's just me thinking business 101 as we know.
Look at you over there break that down. Harvard Business School of Montel
But I
Adams.
believe, but I don't have the same agreement as you. I don't think that. I mean, if an entertainment, anybody can get their foot in the door of that NFL and crack that ceiling, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Because I know it's such a good old boys club, and those guys are dinosaurs. And some of them are gonna be expiring pretty soon. I don't want to say it, but those some old guys on that.
Jerry Jones is what, 97? Yeah, or something like that.
So I think whoever gets in there, I would hope they can get in there and break down more doors on the business side than the athletic side. The athletic side takes care of itself.
Yeah.
But help create more jobs and more opportunities on the business side, not only for their team, but also in the league overall. We never had a black commissioner. I don't think we ever had a black assistant commissioner. We've had a black deputy of security, but we haven't had anybody that's in that commissioner role that's making no decision. And we haven't had that in any major sport. We haven't had it in basketball. We haven't had it in baseball. We never had a black commissioner.
Yeah.
I would love to see that be a point, to look and refer. But let's keep it we keep it real on here, right? I don't see 32 owners taking orders from 32 white owners. I should say 31 white owners. One. I don't know what he is, but the Jaguars owner taking orders or information from a black commissioner. I don't see it. Me personally, I just don't see it. They come from
the balance of power has to shift a little bit more. And Doug is agreeing with you right there, right? He said, anybody, if you got the cash and you can afford to do it, I hear y'all. Again, I'm just here to instigate. I'm here to throw the hard questions out and make y'all go,
Yeah, but I do, man. I'm
youngsters
glad
don't
for her.
remember that, and that's an Arsenio reference.
I hope we get a black owner. I hope she does well, man. Let's be honest with you.
Yeah.
She's only been there for 2 months. She's got to prove herself over the seasons and season over season to do a really great job. And if she does, she's gonna open some doors and she can do some things. But I mean, we're gonna see how she runs the operations of the Las Vegas Raiders, man. But I'm glad she got the opportunity.
Yeah,
I really
and listen, they got a. I'm not gonna say they got a better coach. He's not a good coach, but they got a better situation than they've had before. They should have kept their coach that they had last time.
Yeah, actually they should coach.
But I'll, leave it at that. But as long as there's no off the field issues that derail the conversation and take away the focus from the game. When Carr gets out there with who's this dude? Who's his wideout now?
Davis from
because they play college together.
Green Bay.
Yeah,
from Green Bay.
Yeah, they play college together. So when they get out there on the field together, I mean, they're gonna light it up, right? So that's gonna be exciting to see. Well, come on now.
I'm gonna be honest. If you want
trying to keep hope alive.
If you want a prediction for the Raiders, if the Raiders don't make the playoffs and be successful in the playoffs, it's kind of a bust season. They got all the pieces. They got a great running game. They should have a good passing game. The defense is solid. They're playing in a solid stadium. They got one of the strongest fan bases there.
Yeah, true.
I think right now you're running out of excuses why you're not successful, right?
Yeah.
You brought the coach from New England to come here and revamp everything. Yeah, Vontae. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of his name. You got Vontae, but I'm saying you got everything there. You got the superstar receiver. You got a great running back. You got the quarterback that's a budding superstar.
Yeah.
You brought in the coach from New England who's supposed to be the offensive genius of everything, and you're supposed to win, right? And you're in Vegas, right? You're in the city that never ever sleeps. They got all the money, no matter what time of the year, no matter if it's a recession or not. Vegas always got the money. So they don't have any excuses not to do good, right? There's no excuses for them not to do good.
Yeah.
The only thing that's standing in their way is the Kansas City Chiefs, which I don't think they can beat, me personally, right now.
Okay, well, listen, let me put a marker right here. Let me add that marker right here. Ecam, shouts out to the beta here. I can add a marker to that statement right there because we're going to see what he says. As the season goes on, right?
I'm going to keep it. I think Raiders at best are a wild card team. Me personally, honestly, they're a wild card team at best. I think Kansas City's better than them. I think Baltimore Ravens is better than them in the AFC. I believe. Let me think else who's in the AFC. I think Buffalo Bills are better than them in the AFC.
Yeah, the Bills some bad
I think Cincinnati Bengals are better than them. I think they're gonna have a problem with the Chargers.
Oh my, okay. See, there you go.
So
The Chargers.
we oh yeah, Charlie, yeah, they were sitting in the playoffs last year.
Well,
Don't
yeah, okay. I'm gonna
yeah,
I'm gonna leave you alone until we get further on into the season. But okay, so
yeah.
this is a perfect segue. And before I go to this right here, I want to address Kevin's statement. Was it just for PR? I don't think with the Raiders that it was done just for PR because they've done a couple of different moves.
I think a little bit of us. Don't nope.
I don't think so. I don't think
Oh yes, I
because I
do.
don't think Davis is that smart.
I,
I,
you don't gotta
I
be
don't
that smart.
I don't think Davis is that smart. So
No, I agree. I think a little bit of his PR, but I do think she has the credentials to fulfill the role.
yes,
I don't think they didn't
yeah,
hire a person that wasn't qualified. They hired someone that was qualified.
correct.
But I believe hiring an African American woman is
It
somewhat of a
looks good in
PR.
all
Yes.
angles for sure, but I just don't think I'm biased. I don't think that the Davis family is that smart. Okay,
You
we're
being
talking.
nice, bro.
I'm
You
being
being
nice.
nice.
Listen, it's been a long time since your boy been online here. You know, I'm trying to gain the followers back again. You know, shouts out to the
Yeah.
community. We talked a lot about football. Let me ask you this: are you willing to pay for more access to the NFL? Are you
No.
willing to have more views of what happens on the field? Are you willing to have more analysis provided to you, to your phone and to your inbox, and just to see more out of area games and things like that? Is that something that you'd be willing to pay for?
Me personally,
Yeah.
no. But the fantasy football people, absolutely they're gonna pay. Those people that are entrenched in fantasy
Yeah.
football, I think are gonna buy that service because they want to know what's going on. They want to
Okay.
see all the things going on with their football teams and their players all across. So I believe it's a
So NFL Plus you think is more geared towards the fan duels and the what is it yeah, well, so that's a whole different aspect right there. The folks that are
yeah,
doing the
yeah,
online betting and the fantasy football side that would actually pay for this additional access to their game. So
yes.
what you get with this live out of market preseason games, you get all these preseason. No one cares about preseason. You get all of the regular and postseason games. You get full and condensed game replays. So you get kind of the extra camera angle and the extra
Mhm.
audio angle from folks on the sidelines and the coaches and things like that.
Yep.
$30 a year.
I think people are going to pay for,
Oh, well, hold
especially.
on. Let's see. NFL Premium. What is this? So NFL limited time. Oh, I could have got it for $29.99 a year when it's after this early access offer. It's going to be $80 a year for all NFL
Mhm.
Plus features, full game replays across devices, condensed game replays, and coaches film. Now the coaches film could be dope.
I mean,
You
yeah,
gonna pay 80 bucks for
I wouldn't pay much for it. Yeah,
it?
it ain't that deep to me. I believe, like I said, I think those fanatic fantasy football player leagues and people that want to be in those leagues, I think they'll pay for it. And I believe since we're always on the move, this doesn't allow you to have to be stationary, right? You can watch now on your phone,
Yeah.
but you can watch your local games or your cable provider that provides. This will allow you to watch any game you want to watch while you're on the move, while you're on the run, while you're doing, you're running your errands with your significant other on Sundays, and you still won't miss a beat. You can watch it on your phone. So
Well,
I think it's a market
listen
for
at
it.
you. When you're supposed to be paying attention to your significant other, you gonna be sitting there with the game on.
Not me, because I
Well,
won't pay for it. They ain't gonna come out of my pocket. But yes, I can see people definitely taking this with them, and definitely going. While they go out to go grab a little lunch or they going shopping or something like that.
oh my
While they sitting there
goodness.
while their wife is trying on clothes, they gonna be right there watching the game, cheering on and doing their thing. Or while they're supposed to be in church, they can watch any game they want to
Lord,
watch
pray
and do
for
all
them.
that
They're
stuff.
supposed to be at church. So what does this do? I mean, Doug is asking this question. What does this do for the red zone? Right? What does this do for Sunday
That's what I'm saying.
ticket?
I like Red Zone. Red Zone's perfect for me because I get to just see the highlights,
Okay.
and I get it on my TV and I can see it, and I'm good. I think this just gives you more of in depth of the whole game live, better than Red Zone. I don't know if it kills it. I really don't know, but I know this is something I think people will take advantage of, especially for only $29 a year. I think catch the early bird special, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. I'm not. I'm trying to reduce subscriptions in this house. Looks like I got two college kids, just like you, right? So I'm trying to
Yeah, yeah.
reduce all of the outlay. I think this is valuable. This Kevin's saying, who cares what the coaches are saying and doing, but that could be the only part of the game that we don't currently have. Right. That
Yep.
could be kind of the almost probably the most interesting thing that we don't already have from the ESPN highlights and the Sports Center and the recap. But I don't know. I may do it just for like the first couple of weeks, just to see how it is, and then and then
Hmm.
cancel it. But
Yeah,
uh,
I'm like I said, I'm not a really big fan of the NFL anymore. I mean, I'm proud when
yeah,
the college guys get to go there and they get to play in the league and they make their money, and I'm excited for them. But just not a big. I'm a bigger college fan. I'd rather sit there and watch college football and talk about what's going on at the college game, where I believe the game's just a little bit more pure, even though the NIL is changing that. It's a money game now, but I like it. I like college just a little bit more. Plus, my son plays college, so Saturdays I'm all entrenched in what he's doing. I'm not really paying attention to anybody else
I
going there,
got
and
you.
then
I
I'll
got
figure it
you.
all out later on. So,
I got you. Okay. Doug is talking about 10 years from now, everything gonna be pay per view.
yep, I agree.
On demand, some kind of way. Okay, we'll see. Let me ask this. We can do one and a half more stories here. I want to be cognizant of folks' time. They're all football related this week. Okay. Listen, it's okay.
It's
It is that time. But before I get into that, let's go ahead and do this. That's right, folks. We back. We back. Team No Sleep. I decided to look. Everything is an evolution too. We back to showing this on not just the Team No Sleep YouTube page, but also on my page as well. Um, Primarily because of the stories that we talked about at the beginning, right? Those social impact, those harder hitting, those mental, and I don't want to say that. No, those social impacting stories, and that's kind of really the focus of my primary channel. So yeah, we're going to be dual multi streaming to Team No Sleep and to my page as well. And on the Team No Sleep, that will still be an exclusive location to get Mr. Montel Allen with this right here. Talk to him.
Yeah, straight from the horse's mouth. It cuts out the middleman for information for kids that want to get recruited and go to college, and talk a lot about the insights and what goes around from college. And you hear that from college coaches and current players that are in college. So it's really insightful, man. I've been getting a lot of great feedback from the show. And I mean, it's funny. I was yesterday on the street. Somebody was like, "Straight from the horse's mouth." So it's starting to kind of take off, and people are really loving what we're doing. It's just like I said, this is more of an informative show where I kind of asked the gut wrenching questions about recruiting and kind of the whole thing about recruiting from high school athletes going into the collegiate era.
Man, folks, he a bad man. And I sit in the background and produce, and Montel is having serious heart to heart questions with folks. I love it. Uh, Before we move on to the next statement here, why pay $80 for the year when NFL season is only 6 months at $9.99? That math. All right. Kevin, if you buy NFL Plus, let us know. If you go ahead and swing that money, I know you got that Bay Area money, right? Mr. Cox is he's doing some big things down there. So let us know if you decide to go that route and your experience with that particular service. Uh, Football for youth, football for regular athletes. I'm gonna call them regular athletes instead of professional athletes, NFL level and collegiate level, things like that. I think we may have hinted at this before. Do you think that football and not tackle football? Do you think flag football could be a global sport? Do you think flag football could ever get to the point that what? Every 4 years we play flag football in the Olympics. What do you think about that?
No.
Oh,
I mean, the Olympics is getting ridiculous. We're trying to figure out sports for them to have there. Flag football is not just enhance the ones you currently have. I don't think flag football is the competitive sport that we want in the Olympics.
okay.
There's nothing I wouldn't want to watch. I mean, it's flag football. That's supposed to be an event for just non-contact for kids to kind of learn the fundamentals of the sport. That's what flag football is. It's a premise for them to learn the fundamentals, understand football in a non-contact environment. not for it to be perpetuated into an Olympic sport. It just doesn't. It doesn't appeal to me. I wouldn't watch it. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay, so
Um,
Doug, right here at SmackDown Outdoors says the same thing. I'm just gonna I'm gonna do what I do, and I'm gonna pour some salt on these open wounds here, and just want to have the discussion. The World Games just happened.
mhm.
We got Denmark, we got Panama, France, Brazil, Italy, Japan, Austria, Mexico. We got some big names out here. We got all of these locations and the U.S. playing
Mhm.
flag football.
Okay. So there's a market for it.
There's a market
I'm not
for it,
interested in it.
and
I'm not interested in watching it.
here
You
are the
know.
medal rankings. U.S. men did what
Mhm.
they had to do. They came back with a medal.
Mhm.
U.S. women played against Mexico. Mexico won, but again, so men and women playing flag football at the global level, there seems to be interest, and now again, you got the conversation that NFL is seeing that. NFL wants it in the 2028 Olympics, but a handful of you are saying this isn't going to be the sport that you tune into.
I'd rather have rugby in the Olympics if I'm gonna have another
Oh, there you
sport.
go. Okay,
I'd
okay,
rather have
all
I'd
right.
rather have rugby there, but I mean, yeah, the Olympic or the NFL's pushing for something that I don't think that's there. I mean, again, I like flag football. I think flag football is definitely for kids from the fundamental. It's for kids, people that don't want to play non-contact, and it's definitely for retirees and older gentlemen like me that still want to get out there
Why
and
you
run
mad? Just
around a
because
little
I
bit.
got my
Yeah,
flags out in the garage
yeah,
right now,
yeah,
so I do
yeah.
have my cleats. Haven't put them on in a while. And
As long as
look,
the
see,
knees can hold up and I can move a little bit, maybe I can get out there and play for a quarter or so. But I don't think that's something that I
yeah.
want to see out there as a competitive sport um, in the Olympics and going against other countries or something just like that. It just doesn't.
I think there it is right there, the competitive piece, right? It would be
Yeah.
a decent activity, but just at a level of just having something out there as a sport, but who can score the most, but going out there and doing some of that, the competitive nature that we're talking about, the best of the best in the world. I
Yes.
think there's the point right there. And Doug said, "Listen, man, he didn't even know the games were happening, so there's no real marketing that's
Yeah.
happening for this as well." So, see, geriatric football. See, Kevin, why are you gonna talk about us old folks like that? Just because?
Yeah. I just don't see there's a market for it. I guess there may be a market since they're playing on a global level. I just don't see it pushed to that point where, hey, I got to watch a flag football game.
Yeah,
It's kind of like like now we have 707, like the invasion of 707. It's been 707 been invasion at the high school level.
yeah.
And people argue about that. It's a necessity, but that's a necessity for preparation to play contact football. Um, Flag, I don't want to see as the ultimate of ultimates. It just doesn't. Not gonna be, and I don't think it's gonna be very entertaining to at least not to me. Maybe somebody will watch it. I'm
You'd
not. I
rather
mean,
watch curling, huh? Okay, you'd rather
yes, I
watch
would rather
some.
watch curling in the
Oh
Winter
my
Olympics
gosh.
or cross country when they shoot the target. So I forgot what that's called, but
There he
when
go.
they
He don't know
yeah,
this. He don't even
but
know this sport.
no, I don't want to watch flag football, especially not Summer Olympics, man. I'm not. No, there's no way.
All right, all right.
I don't-
Throwing it out there. See, and again, we come with everything, folks. You weren't even thinking about that, right? We are having these in depth conversations, bringing about flag football in the Olympics. We'll go ahead and put our vote in for saying no, that's not going to
Yeah,
happen.
unless they want Team Sleep to cover it, then if they couldn't,
Well, there you go, right? We can go cover that. Listen, I
yeah,
know what
yeah,
we're gonna talk about probably next week, though. Remember, we brought up about the LIV, about this whole golf thing, and
yeah, yeah.
remember, I think even you thought, this ain't gonna be nothing big to talk about. But listen,
I know
it's
it's gonna be as big as it is. I tell you
it's
that
getting
right
off the
now.
chain, right? I told y'all this was gonna get ridiculous, and now we got LIV, we got PGA, we got Tiger Woods flying back and forth,
I,
turning
I'm a big,
down
I'm a big,
$700 million.
I'm a fan of LIV, man. I'm a big fan of LIV. I think they cool. They doing some big things over there for golf. So
So we're gonna
I'm
we're gonna
all.
talk about
I'm
that
all
because I think there's gonna be some more activity happening around that, and hopefully, listen, we're gonna go and close like this. Hopefully, next week we either have some more uplifting stories. Maybe we can tell some positive things, and something good happens within the next 7 days to lead the show off from the social impact perspective. But if you got something that you want to share with us, let us know. All right, you see, we trying to bring the truth. We going I'm gonna listen to ESPN Sports Radio tonight about 10 o'clock when I'm in the gym, and I'm sure they're gonna talk about the exact same thing that we talked about. Never talked about it before, but as soon as Montel Allen opens his mouth and starts talking about some of these types of stories, somebody and little birdie is listening, Fox News and what is it, ESPN Sports Radio. But bro, we did it again. Take us home, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, in this state of mind, man, please reach out to somebody, tell them you care about them, reach out to family members, friends. Just let them know everything's okay. Say your prayers and peace, man. We out. Team no
Yeah, we
sleep.
good. We see y'all next week.
Yes, sir.